One second, we're going to get started. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you did like me, you probably ate a little bit too much, but needless to say, it's all about detoxing, hitting the gym, doing what you need to do. But today we're going to talk about something very, very special. Actually, this is the last Lunch and Live for the month of November. We touched on a lot of different topics as far as funding your 401k. We talked about term insurance. We talked about permanent insurance. We talked about a personal private pension plan. Today, we're talking about long-term care. So a lot of times people are not familiar with what long-term care is. So if you stay with me for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, I'll go over some basics that you need to know. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully you guys are staying warm because it's a little chilly. It's the chilly season right now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about long-term care and understanding that you must protect your greatest asset. And your greatest asset is you, your ability to earn an income, your ability to take care of your family. Those things are very important. A lot of times we don't think about those things. We think about our greatest asset being maybe our business, maybe our house, maybe our money, but ultimately the greatest asset is you and your ability to earn an income and bring income in and take care of your family. So this is what long-term care is all about if you're not familiar with long-term care. So people always ask me, what is it? What is long-term care? Long-term care is a range of services and support that you may personally need to assist you with everyday activities like bathing, eating, dressing, continence, toileting, and transferring around. So if you can't do 2 out of those 6 daily activities of living, then you are in a situation where you may need long-term care. But most people think about nursing homes as the main place for long-term care. But according to these stats, more than half of all long-term care claims were provided at home, according to the American Association of Long-Term Care Insurance. So you can see 52% is home health care and 25% is assisted living. And you have 23% that's in nursing homes. So most people, when they're healthy and they're young, they don't think about things like long-term care. Well, here's some reasons why you may need it in the future. So I want you to take some notes if you're taking notes and pay attention. Now, it may be because of your age. So getting older may require you to become more dependent on family and friends and help and support for your daily activities. So as you get older, you might not be, how they say you got new knees. Well, hey, as we get older, our knees and the way that we move around and the way that we take care of ourselves, it could be a little bit more challenging as we get older. And it could be, I want you to think about gender. Women, and for the men up here and the husbands up here, make sure you understand this. Women tend to outlive men 5 to 10 years on average. So living alone could be a challenge for women in the future. So I always ask this question, like, women are the greatest caregivers on the planet, but who's going to take care of you if you're known for taking care of everyone else? So you got to think about things like that. And family history, that's very important. Your family history may play a part if your parents or your grandparents had a chronic or a chronic illness or a health condition. You may need to look at long-term care for your future needs. And of course, living conditions. So you are more likely to need paid care if you're living by yourself as opposed to living with a partner. The stats are there, like living alone could be very challenging. So your living conditions without a partner, you may be a good candidate for long-term care in the future. And last, I want you to pay attention because it's very important. And it's lifestyle. If you know me and you've been following me, I'm big on faith, family, fitness, and finance. It's all about lifestyle. So having a poor diet and exercise habits, that will increase your chance of needing long-term care in the future. And just in case you didn't know, and you got to make sure you understand these stats. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nearly 70% of Americans 65 and older will need some form of long-term care in their future. So these are the stats. Now, you may think that you're part of the 30%. As healthy as I, work to be, I don't know if I'm going to end up in the 70%. So these are things that you need to address, whether you're healthy or you're not. So let's talk about the high cost of long-term care. Now, long-term care is expected to increase significantly over the next 20 years. If you guys are thinking that inflation is killing you in the grocery store and it's killing you at the gas pump and in other parts of your life, well, I want you to take a look at the high cost of long-term care. Now, home health aid in 2019, the average or the median annual is $52,624. By 2039, that's going to be $95,045, a huge jump. And when you're talking about assisted living, well, in 2019, $48,612 was the average. 2039 is expected to jump up to $87,799. And last but not least, nursing homes, right? Nursing homes, the average, and this is pretty high, the average, of course, that means that there's less cost and there's more cost. And it depends on if you have a private room or not. All those things matter. But 2019, $102,220. By 2039, you're looking at $184,585. Huge jump. So you're probably saying, well, how can I afford this? Well, this is why long-term care is so important, that you understand that, hey, it's all about protecting not only your family, but protecting your assets. So, and before I go into this last part about exploring your options, I want you to think about this. Like, when it comes to long-term care, who is going to be able to quit their job, or who do you know that can quit their job to take care of you full time? If you don't have anybody in that situation, then you might be a good candidate for long-term care. How are you going to take care of yourself in the future if you need help with the activities of daily living? Another question is, who do you know that is physically able to actually take care of you? I have this game that I call let's play long-term care with spouses, husband and wife. Like, hey, let's play long-term care where you quit your job for 6 months to a year, right? So no income is coming in, 6 months to a year, and you're the wife, right? You quit, and now you have to physically take care of your husband. That could be a bad situation. Now, I know for a fact that when it comes to people we love, we will do everything and anything, but sometimes it could be physically challenging. Imagine having to carrying your husband up the stairs if you have stairs, or carrying them to go use the bathroom or take a bath. All those things are very important. And if you're a woman, right, because we know that daughters typically take care of the one who needs the caregiving, like your mother or your father. Daughters, that responsibility typically rely on daughters to actually do that. But just imagine if you're a woman and you had all men or all boys. Like, you would never want your son to have to give you a bath. So this may be, you might want to explore some of these options that I'm about to actually go over. So long-term care, you have your standalone policies, and you have your long-term care rider on a permanent insurance policy. So you might want to look and say, hey, maybe I want a standalone insurance policy that has some benefits, or maybe I want a long-term care rider that has some benefits with the death benefit. I could use that for the long-term care situation if I need it. And then, of course, you have long-term care rider or a benefit on an annuity. Maybe you're in a situation where you can't get life insurance, right? Or you can't qualify for long-term care. Well, they have long-term care benefits and riders on annuities if you have a lump sum of money. So that could be a way that you can get long-term care benefits. You also have a chronic and a critical illness rider on a permanent life insurance policy. So a chronic rider works very similar to a long-term care rider. Only difference is, with the long-term care rider, depends on the company and the product and the states and stuff like that. you could get paid 2%, 3%, 4% of the death benefit. So if you have a $500,000 death benefit and a 2% long-term care rider, then you're looking at $10,000 a month. Of course, you have to follow the HIPAA per diem laws. It's always a factor when it comes to payouts. So a chronic illness, you might get up to 24% annually. And the difference is really in that situation, it depends on, you don't know exactly what you might get with a chronic illness rider. So I want you guys to explore all these options that I'm mentioning, because when you're speaking to your financial advisor or your professional, you want to ask these questions. Another option is the accelerated living benefits rider that covers a critical and chronic illness rider on a term policy. Now, this is very powerful because you might say, hey, my budget is not good enough to get long-term care standalone or a long-term care rider on permanent insurance. So you can get a term life policy that has living benefits, like a chronic illness rider that helps you if you have activities of daily livings that you can't fulfill. And another thing that you want to pay attention to, and I always make sure, like, when you're asking these questions, these are three important questions that you have to ask. Like, hey, how are the benefits paid out? Like, when am I going to receive this benefit? Because you do have an elimination or a waiting period. It might be 30, 60, 90, or 120 days. So you do have to wait for the benefits to kick in. Another thing is, okay, well, how much is that benefit going to be every month? That's a question that you need to ask. And the third thing is, how long am I going to receive these benefits? So that's very important. And how you receive them, you have two different ways. You have a reimbursement versus a cash indemnity plan, where a reimbursement plan, only long-term care costs are reimbursed. You must have bills. You must have receipts. You got to show your receipts and submit them to determine how much the amount they're going to cover. And cash indemnity is a little different, whereas you get the full monthly benefit that's paid to the owner. You don't have to show no bills or receipts. So you have to submit the order of the long-term care trigger to actually get the benefits. So it's a big difference. I want you guys to start exploring different options, because when it comes to your finances, when it comes to anything, you must be well informed. Because if you don't have a long-term care situation and you consider yourself self-insured, well, you literally have to go into the poorhouse before you can qualify for Medicaid. You're talking about $2,000 of assets. So the biggest thing you need to know is, like, hey, if I fall in this situation and I'm part of the 70%, what am I willing to give up to sell? What assets am I willing to give up? Or am I going to take what I have for retirement and live off of that if I have a long-term care need? All these questions, you need to sit down and really address that with your financial advisor or your professional, so you'll know more. So that's my time, guys. Hopefully you guys got enough out of this. I'll be doing some more lunch and learns in the future, some impromptu lives to give you guys some more education. In the meantime, if you missed this, just go to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of free education there that you can have that's going to help you with your money and your legacy. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.